Look at that front moving out after we've had rain here pretty much all morning today. Monday, December 14th, 2015. Look at that. You can see it's moving out. I mean, it's moving out really fast. And I just tapped the barometer, and the barometer just now started rising. Uh, okay. I I wish the barometer wouldn't go up because I'd just as soon stay at 29.5 inches all the time, but so be it. Meanwhile, the guys have been working on concrete forms. They knocked off when the rain was fairly heavy, and you can see them sort of moving around down there. Let's see here. Shoot over here a bit. You can't really see much. There's really not that much worth showing you, to be honest with you here. I think the walnut tree in the middle of that shot's far more interesting in a way. Okay. Well, I love the contrast of the gray, the dark gray against the sycamores. One of my favorite visual effects around here. Let's see if we can get you a better, you sort of get the. I don't think the video camera does it justice here. That does a bit, maybe. Yeah. Blue sky. Front moving out. Folks beavering away down there on the creek. Well, hello YouTubers again. Paul's at work here on this Monday, December 14th. That's a bit repetitive, but nonetheless, that's how it is. Yesterday was Sunday, and I went to church and I read at the 8 o'clock service. So that was fine. Paul was off yesterday. I mean, he's got this odd schedule. He's off tomorrow on Tuesday because he has to go to the doctor. And then I guess he goes back Wednesday, through the rest of the week. They generally have their Christmas party around Thursday, the week before Christmas. So I imagine on the 17th, there'll be some sort of little shindig that they do down at the place. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I shouldn't really talk about that because I agreed not to talk about that. I don't think they'll mind me saying that. Now, yesterday afternoon, of course, well, not of course, but it worked out that, as we usually do, Tony Pincham and I Skyped, and about a little under 3 hours, just maybe a hair over 3 hours. And while we were Skyping, this friend of mine from Seattle, I won't tell you his name, because he just doesn't want to be necessarily known out on YouTube unless he himself chooses the circumstances on which to say stuff on YouTube. Although he has his own channel so that he can watch my stuff and comment on my stuff. He sent me this email. Well, first of all, he tried to bring in on Skype while Tony and I were on, and he figured that's what was happening because he knows we do this. But I haven't figured out that three-way calling, and I guess he hasn't figured out the Skype three-way calling yet either. He says he's going to look into that. I've never been able to figure it out. I don't know if it's something. I think it's something you have to pay extra for. I don't know. Well, but it'd be fun for the three of us to talk because I think all three of us have a very similar outlook on how things work in the world. And Tony Pincham has said he'd be willing to do that. Um, but this man out in Washington State sent me. He sent me a wonderful story about something that happened to people we both mutually knew. Well, knew, yeah, because the principal and all this is dead now. In 1963, and it turned out it ended up in the Columbus Dispatch, and it's the sort of story that needs to be told. It just begs to be told on YouTube, particularly by this guy, because when he gets on a roll, he can really get going, sort of like I do and like Tony Pincham does, and it's a lot of fun. He says, "Should I put this up on YouTube?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "This is what I reply. This is exactly the kind of stuff that you need to say and tell. It's." I suppose I could give you his actual channel name because that's completely anonymous as far as anybody else knowing who he is. Um, and urge him to do this because I think YouTube is wonderful on so many levels, but what it lacks is a lot of guys, a lot of gay men in their 50s, 60s, and up, and for that matter, even in their 40s, that talk about things from a gay perspective, let alone talk about being gay. And I think he ought to. I think he ought to do this. I think you ought to urge him to do this because this is a story that is funny as hell. Well, especially for me because I know I knew the major protagonist in this little tale. No, I want to tell it myself, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to steal this guy's thunder. This man's thunder. These are psyllium seed capsules, by the way, for my diverticular disease. There's an aspect of being a mid-60s-year-old man, whether you're gay or not. One of the medical giants that greatly influenced me died here on I think it was on the 10th. No, the 14th. No, the 10th. Well, he died here recently. And he was 84, and he was a thoracic surgeon who did a lot of congenital cardiac stuff over at Children's Hospital. And he also did a lot of valvular disease, mitral and aortic valvular disease surgery in adults at University Hospital here in Columbus. And Dr. James Kilman, Kilman, a true giant, another one of these true giants. I spent a month with him as a student, like just as his student. And then in my surgical residency, I took care of a lot of his patients and worked with him a lot, both at university and at Children's. And then when I did anesthesia training, I did anesthesia on a lot of his cases. As I said, he primarily did valve cases, rheumatic, because at that time you were seeing the effects of a lot of rheumatic heart disease. I don't think they do that. I don't see what they see now isn't so much a result of that, because they tend to catch that early on, but obviously there are some. And then, of course, valvular problems develop anyway, just from aging and so forth. So, I mean, valve surgery is obviously still being done. And a real giant. He was, let's say, let's put it this way. He could be a bit of a spring thunderstorm from time to time. Yeah. There were 2 times in the operating room. This is the one time he called me a killer, although the patient did fine. And another time he called me a murderer. And this 12-year-old girl did fine. But, that's just kind of the thing he did from time to time. And so he just sort of let it sort of go bounce off you, Kept doing your job. But, when I came back to Columbus from Fort Wayne, I spent, a year and a half 15 months in Fort Wayne. And then when I went back to Grant Hospital, I would go up to the Saturday morning thoracic surgery conferences there at the University Hospital and just sit in on them. And of course, it's like any medical conference, teaching conference situation. Anybody in the room is liable to be called upon at any time to talk about whatever they're talking about. And he was always there, of course, and he always had a lot of stuff to say. And as did pretty much everybody, all of the staff people in the room, the staff men in the room. That's not sexist. That's just the way it was. They were all men at that time. And, every now and again he'd pimp me a bit, just for old time's sake. Yeah, that's just the way it is in medicine, or it was. I don't know what it is now. Maybe it's all touchy-feely crap now. You're not allowed to sort of, enjoy the give and take, the thrust and parry of things, Well, it's going to start turning colder here next week, and we'll actually sort of have some actual real December weather by Saturday or Sunday. And so let's see. On Saturday, my grandson turned 7. Thanks be to God, Deo volente, as we say. And God forbid also, if that's Deo, you always think of those stuff. You always think about that kind of stuff, don't you? And all right, I want to say bye-bye YouTubers on this one. And giants pass, and stories need to be told. So might want to encourage this guy. Might message this guy and encourage him to do this. I'll leave his channel link, even though he doesn't have any videos on the channel. But you can message him through the YouTube system, without knowing his name. Alrighty, bye bye now.